Hey there guys, and welcome back to another video. Today I'm doing another sit down kind of video, and today's topic is stress, and more to the point how to not get stressed and how to de-stress. So I'm going to share my 5 top tips on how to deal with stress. So first of all, these tips aren't just how to deal with stress once you've got stressed, but more to the point how to reduce getting stressed in the first place, because I find that if you can reduce the level of stress that you get, it's easier to deal with than just getting crazy stressed and then trying to calm down, because that never works for anybody. So first of all, I'm going to talk about stress in general, because everyone gets a completely different level of stress. It depends very much on the individual and what your life is like, depends on your job, if you're a student, depends on your family life, friends, etc. But I think the main thing is that it all depends on perspective, and one person's stress is no more important or worse or better than anybody else's stress. And it's just what you're used to, what stresses you out as a person, and how you deal with it. So just because somebody else maybe has a bigger problem, it doesn't mean that they have any more right to be more stressed than you, or vice versa. So I think that that's quite important, because some people feel like they are stressed but they don't deserve to be, but that's totally not true. It just depends on what's going on inside your head. So yeah, I'm going to share my top tips on how I personally deal with stress. And believe me, I've had my fair amount of stress and I'm not always the best at dealing with it. So these tips I definitely use to help try and reduce stress getting too bad in the first place. And if it does get bad, how I deal with it. So first of all, I'm going to say the main thing for me, or one of the main things for me in reducing stress in the first place is, and I know you've probably heard this a billion times, but sleep. And I know whenever you've got a million and one things to do, sometimes it can be hard to find, well, first of all, the time, the hours in the day to sleep. And also, if you're really stressed out, it can make it difficult to sleep because you've got all these thoughts going through your head. But personally, if I don't get 8 hours sleep, I'm a completely different person. It makes such a huge difference to me. And I know some people are better at dealing with running on less sleep than others, and some people feel like they need less sleep. But for me, sleep is a major factor. So number 2 is taking time for yourself. And again, this can be really difficult if you're running around like a headless chicken, really busy. But honestly, if you, and I'm going to talk about this in a later tip, but if you organise and if you plan to have, say, I try and aim for an hour, but even half an hour or 20 minutes, time focused just for something that you want to do in the day, and put it down as something you have to do. If that means getting up an hour earlier, then so be it. I get up at, okay, you don't have to do this, but I get up at 5:30 so that I have time for myself before work. Not everyone's going to do that, but I find that making time for myself to do something that I want to do in the day makes such a big difference to stress levels and also happiness as well. Because if you're just constantly doing things that you have to do or that you have to do for other people, it really takes a toll on how you feel about yourself. So for me, something I really enjoy doing and I really find helps mental clarity is walking. So I make time to go for at least an hour, around an hour walk every single day, and that is my time to myself. It's also my exercise. So for you, that might be, if you like working out, that can be your hour in the day that is dedicated to something you want to do. It could be reading, it could be drawing, it could be yoga, it could be talking to a friend. Yeah, and it doesn't have to be the same every day, but just having that half hour or an hour a day doing things that you actually like doing can make a huge difference. Number 3 is, and I am awful at doing this, but number 3 is learning how to say no. And I think a lot of us need to learn the word no, because I love to please people like all the time, and if someone asks me to do something, most likely I will say yes, especially if it's something I want to do as well. That makes it even more difficult to say no, but this kind of ties in with the making time for yourself. In order to have time for yourself, you've got to say no to some things, because you can't do everything, and I'm really trying to get better at that, because you just end up with like running from one thing to the next, and then you don't actually enjoy the things you are doing. So actually this weekend, for example, I really tried to, I actually said no to doing one thing, because I possibly could have done it, but it just would have meant the weekend would have been frantic. And the past few months, the weekends have been crazy just because I wanted to do everything. So this weekend I have had a bit more time to myself, and it's strange, like having time to sit down for like half an hour and read a book or have a cup of tea, whatever. But it is really, really nice, and it definitely makes a difference to stress levels, just having that bit more time. But with that being said, number 4 is having fun with friends and or family or whoever. Yeah, you don't have to say no to all of these like fun events and things. In fact, I think it's really important to be able to like go out with your friends, have a good laugh, forget about whatever else you have to do, like working or studying or whatever. It's so important to go out with your friends and just have a laugh and have a good chat and a catch up or whatever. I think that's really important, just to blow off some steam. It doesn't have to be going crazy or going out drinking or whatever. Just meeting up with people that you get along with really well and having a good time. So that's number 4. And finally, number 5 is learning how to plan. And some people are naturally better at this than others. Personally, I love planning stuff. I love organising things. Pretty much live off lists and through my diary. Some people really struggle to keep a diary of things they have to do, or a calendar, or whatever you want to call it. But personally, I find I could not do the things that I do if I didn't keep a calendar, because I wouldn't turn up to half the things I was meant to. I put everything into my calendar, whether it means remembering to do my laundry, and I know that might seem trivial, but whenever you've got a million things going through your head, these things you can forget about, and they take time. So if there's something that's going to take you time, it's really important to factor that in. I actually have 2 diaries. So I have Google Calendars on my phone, which I find extremely helpful, because you can like make events, you can just put like reminders in. So if there's something you want to do in the day but you don't have a specific time for it, that's really, really handy. So I love Google Calendars, but I also like to keep like a physical diary as well. And sometimes I find like writing it down can actually be really like therapeutic. So yeah, I have like a physical diary as well, where I keep note of probably more things, like if I want to do like a blog post or put a video up, or there's something like that I want to remember to do, I tend to write that in my actual like physical diary. So that tip is more to do with actually like reducing stress in the first place. It means that you don't have just like all these things in your head. You can kind of like get them onto paper, and even the process of like writing it down can really make a difference. Yeah, so those are my 5 tips on how to deal with stress. Obviously, this doesn't always work. Everyone gets stressed, myself included, and even sometimes like tiny little things can just wind you up. But I think the most important thing is to realise that it's only temporary, and to talk to somebody about what you're stressed about, write it down, just try and take a bit of time out for yourself. I think those things make a huge difference. I hope that this video has been helpful for you guys, and I would love to hear in the comments below if you have any tips on how to deal with stress. Yeah, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye!